welcome back everyone to another Monday 10-minute training session. I'm Dr. Rob Van Bergen, and today I'm going to be talking all about sleep apnea, what it is, and how we can approach it with both microcurrent and PEMF therapy. So let's start with the basics. What is sleep apnea? Sleep apnea is a potentially serious sleep disorder in which your breathing kind of repeatedly stops and starts. If you are someone that snores really loudly and you feel tired even after a full night's sleep, you may have sleep apnea. There are three kind of main types of sleep apnea. There's obstructive sleep apnea, central sleep apnea, and then treatment emergent central sleep apnea. So really it's two with one having a little bit of a twist. So obstructive sleep apnea, otherwise known as OSA, is the more common form. And this is when the throat muscles relax and they block the flow of air into the lungs. This causes you, of course, to not be able to breathe, startles you awake, and leaves you gasping for air. CSA, or central sleep apnea, this is the next type and less common, but actually a bit easier to treat. This occurs when the brain doesn't send proper signals to the muscles that control breathing. So it's a brain issue, not a muscle issue. And then the treatment emergent version, this is known as complex sleep apnea. This sort of only really comes about when someone has been diagnosed with OSA, which you have to go through a sleep study for, which is the obstructive type. And then the therapy they're receiving for OSA triggers central sleep apnea. So it kind of is a bit cyclical. Symptoms of these conditions include things like excessive daytime sleepiness, you're always tired in the day, loud snoring, observed episodes of stopped breathing during sleep. So if you're a parent with a kid that has this, you're probably going to notice it if you see them sleeping. Same if your spouse has it, you might notice it. Waking up during the night and gasping or choking, awakening in the morning with a very dry mouth or sore throat, headaches in the morning, trouble focusing during the day, mood changes such as depression or being really easily upset, and high blood pressure. These are all some of the symptoms. But if you have sleep apnea and you know you have sleep apnea, then you're kind of able to start moving towards some semblance of treatment. Now, sleep apnea itself, as you can tell, has two sorts of routes depending on the type. And so depending on the type, we need to address the individual route itself that applies to the individual version of sleep apnea. It's important to note that regardless of whether a person has central sleep apnea or obstructive sleep apnea, treatment of sleep apnea has not often been seen as a quick fix treatment. It can take several sessions to obtain results, so patience is kind of required here. So let's start with the most common form of sleep apnea, which is obstructive sleep apnea. Recall that this is essentially a muscular issue, right? As the throat muscles relax and block the flow of air into the lungs. Now, this can be treated with microcurrent, but also with PEMF. And I've put together a few slides here to just try and make it a little bit easier to follow. So let me just find those there. Okay. And go. All right. So treating obstructive sleep apnea, remember this is the muscular area of the throat. So there's a couple of different options here. There's the microcurrent and there's the PEMF option. Both are going to use the same program here. It's just the delivery method that matters. So you're going to set your device to either Sanabio 14 if you have a Pinnacle, 7 to 12 Hertz if you have an Evolution, or if you're lacking any of these programs, use Blue Stimulate instead. If you're using a PEMF device such as the Sanachi in Via Chi mode, the Via Chi, or the Chi Wave pad to deliver this treatment, then make sure you set the power to maximum or to a level where you can feel it. Some people can feel PEMF. If it's microcurrent, set it to a comfortable power level, right? You always want it to be a comfortable power level. So with PEMF, you're simply going to place it over the area for 5 minutes. Going on one side of the neck is actually going to affect the whole neck, so it's pretty simple. With microcurrent, you're going to want to paint the area for about 6 minutes, but avoid the thyroid area like we do when we do Pirogov's ring. Just kind of go on the sides of the neck, Get rid of any sticky spots that you may find in there as well, but generally paint for about 6 minutes, which coincidentally, or maybe not so coincidentally, is one full cycle of Sanabio 14. In addition, a conventional medical treatment for obstructive sleep apnea has been to do right side vagus nerve stimulation. Now, remember, this is different than what we normally do. Normally, left side is where we focus. It's anti-inflammatory. It works on the gut. Right side vagus nerve works more on the lungs and the heart. So we often just don't need to do that. But in this case, this is where they're installing these stimulators, and we're seeing that there's some pretty good effects from these surgical implants. And there's no reason we can't just opt to do that instead or as an adjunct therapy for this as well. What about central sleep apnea? So central sleep apnea, being a disorder of the central nervous system, is actually going to be a little bit easier to treat. It's going to benefit more from treatment of the brain than anything else. This means that right side vagus nerve stim here is still in play because this is interfacing with the brain and everything along the vagal pathways. So it's still going to work there, just as it was for obstructive sleep apnea. But the general treatments involve things like tongue stimulation and gamma to the brain. So tongue stimulation, you need the tongue stimulator tool. Now, this is this guy right here. Anyone who has purchased any new kits this month, being June, you will be getting a tongue stimulator regardless of your kit variation, as long as it's a deluxe kit. So you'll have one of these on hand. If not, you can always purchase one separately. But you don't want to use any other tool in the mouth. These are made with large amounts of rubber, and this is actually going to prevent too much current being felt and making an uncomfortable sensation, because you're going to want to place this tongue stimulator on the tongue. Now, you need to take these prongs. You'll notice it's very flexible. You want to spread these out so that one of these prongs each is on the midline, on either side of the midline of the tongue. So you have that line down the middle of your tongue. Place one of these on either side. This could mean you've got to spread it out far or make it skinny, depending on the size of your tongue. And you want to go about halfway back on the tongue as well. Using 121 hertz, which is available in our Genesis and Evolution devices, or if you have the Pinnacle, using Sanabio 200, run the program for 20 minutes before you go to bed. Nice, simple, and easy. Now, the other option would be Gamma Energizer. This is actually a PEMF predominant protocol, but you can also use the trigeminal protocol too. So using gamma, which is 32 to 45 hertz, available in the Evolution and available in the Pinnacle, you want to direct the PEMF into the brain, essentially through the third eye, so placing it right in the center. So in the case of my Sana-Chi here, I would plug it in, I would set it to via Chi mode, place it pointed at the center of my forehead, and run it for about 10 to 20 minutes at maximum power or a level I can feel before bed. And you could do both of these. It's just bearing in mind that you're probably going to be doing them 30 to 40 minutes of treatment before bed. I would alternate and see how you do with alternating, or if there's one you just hate doing or prefer doing, focus on that. Because remember, we're looking at a little bit of time before we start to get those effects that we're looking for. Okay, so hopefully that helps. I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining me today for our Monday 10-minute training session. This has been something that people have been asking about for a while, and we've had these protocols floating around, but we don't have a video on them. So now we do, with helpful slides to make it easy to follow along. As we continue to expand our video training suggestions, I'd really love to hear what you'd like a training on. If there's something you think we are missing, if there's something that you personally need, please comment below, and we can kind of figure out if that's something that we should add into the loop. It may also be we already have a video and we can link that video to you so you don't even have to wait. So thank you again, everyone. Take care. I'll see you next week for another Monday 10-minute training. Take care.